Good Black Friday morning here in Riverton, Wyoming. It is WyoToday Sports Live on 101.7 KDNO. I'm joined by Baylor Beers as Cody is in Hawaii. He said he was going to call in, but it's like 3 a.m. in the morning or something like that out there, so we'll forgive him. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, Baylor?
Yeah, it was good. Had the family in town, smoked a brisket. That was pretty good. How about yours, Kevin?
We smoked a turkey and a ham.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, they told me when they wanted to eat, and I nailed it because
Nice.
I cook everything. Well, nailed it in my version of nailed it. They said, 3 o'clock and 3:10, food was all served and
Heck
ready.
yeah.
And it was a good day. It's we're going to try. And we're going to even go on. I'm going to go on record here. We're going to try and get the staff out a little early today. And we'll try and make that happen as we get the paper out. Of course, you want to pick up your Saturday Ranger and Lander Journal as the all-county team will be in the paper. We'll be discussing that at length next week as we've got quite a few from multiple schools on there. Of course, heavy on the playoff teams, as you might expect. All conference got published this week, actually. I keep thinking yesterday was Saturday. Of course, kind of what you'd expect. Quite a few Shoshone kids made 1A, made the 1A1, 1A9 man. You had some players of that nature. Of course, on the 3A team, especially being conference, all conference in 3A East, you'd expect it to be heavy Riverton Lander because they finished 1 and 2, and that's exactly what it was. Of course, also coming out in the top 25, we won't go into too much of that because it's another media's property, so don't want to step on them, but we'll start off with kind of the elephant in the corner of the room, Baylor. And in our we have a group sports kind of trash talk, kind of talk games, keep some of the people off of it, keep the young kids like cameraman Declan off of it because it can get kind of heated with disgust last week. And that we're going to visit Josh Allen retirement day, big day. Josh Allen addressed the team, led the band. My daughter Katie loved that, being in the Western Thunder. But clock management.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Mismanagement, maybe.
Yeah, clock management. Of course, they fall to UNR, Nevada, Reno, at the time, the worst team record-wise, tied for the worst record in the Mountain West in conference with Colorado State, who we'll talk about in just a second. But 15 seconds on the one, touchdown wins you the game, and we got that. We got that play call and that execution. We don't want to just.
Well, I'll tell you what, it certainly was not the play that anybody wanted. I'm almost guarantee you that was not the play call, was to throw it from the 1 yard line to the 6 yard line. Are we still on? Am I good to talk? Okay. That was not the play call to throw it backwards 5 yards, obviously, 15 seconds and no timeouts. But I don't know. It just looked like anybody who watched the game could tell that, Caden Anderson, the Wyoming quarterback, was just having a bad day. For whatever reason, it seemed like he was pretty hesitant to throw the ball to his first and second read, and then he'd kind of dump it off to, the third or fourth read, or maybe even a clear route that he's not even supposed to throw it to, and it got picked off, or just stalled out drives that were rolling pretty good for the Cowboys. So no, it was a fun day. Josh Allen and his wife Haley Seinfeld were there. Josh talked to the fans, obviously, like he just said it sucks to be a CSU Ram, which obviously ignited the entire crowd. They were both very quiet, and then when he said that was probably the loudest I've heard for Memorial Stadium. So it was pretty cool there. But yeah, the Wyoming game in particular was a rough watch. It was not the most fun game to be at, and unfortunately, with that loss, obviously Wyoming cannot become bowl eligible with a win tomorrow against Hawaii.
Yeah, can they? I thought with 4 wins, they're bowl ineligible unless the graduate type thing. They had to win the last 2, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh,
Yeah,
my bad.
yeah.
Yeah, so double entendre. We'd hope that tomorrow's game, which of course is late, 8 o'clock local time. No, 9 o'clock local time. Would lead to a bowl eligibility, a chance. It'd be an upset, especially there in Honolulu. But unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, and just it's one of those things you've got to know that, and we just went completely offline. Oh, there we go. Well, no, we're still on. Never mind. It's one of those things that you hope with Josh Allen in town, senior day, you get the win. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm putting this all on Coach Jay either. Anderson has to know what you're taught from Pee Wee. In that situation, no timeouts. You can't take a sack. Can't get wide receivers, running backs. No, can't get tackled in bounds. At that point, tight end or whoever they were trying to target on a dump off, one is that receiver's got to be just, even if that's the play to run, he's out of bounds. He's no good. If the 3 other guys, if none of them are open in the end zone, 15 seconds, you can run 4 plays in that. Just sail it out the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
Live to fight another day. And that's kind of been a little bit of a talk as you watch the national shows. Is Anderson's a little bit of regression throughout the year. So it'll be interesting to see, of course, Coach making the move to publicly go, oh, if we can get $2.5 million in NIL, we'll win a whole bunch of games. We'll be world beaters, stuff like that. Oh, I think they compete in the Mountain West. I'm not sure if they'd be world beaters.
Well, I mean, there was that. There was the offense is going to score 35 a game.
Yeah,
guarantee.
Yeah, that's right up there in college football terms. For those of us old enough to remember, you may not be, with George H.W. Bush saying no new taxes, and then we kind of had a sort of thing that could be portrayed as a tax go up, and lo and behold, he lost to Clinton in re-election in his re-election bid. You don't want to make a whole lot of guarantees unless they're the kind, like, oh, we're gonna fight, oh, we're gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Those are a little more subjective. So, of course, big news coming out from the border war rival as Colorado State hires former UConn, former UCLA, former Atlanta Falcon head coach Jim Mora Jr.
I had not read that. That's good for them.
So a little bit back and forth out of the question on that one. So Jim Mora Jr. hired by the CSU Rams. I think it's a good hire for them. He used to be the coach when I was a little bit younger that had some of the baggage. He was kind of a smart aleck, kind of a swashbuckling kind of guy. And then Lane Kiffin came along and everybody forgot about him. Of course, the Lane Kiffin situation, what's going to happen there? So CSU Rams in their bid to try and turn some things around, because not only have their record been awful, they've just looked awful.
Yeah, their team has not been very good this year, which is surprising because Norvell, I mean, when he came in from, I believe it was Nevada, I mean, Nevada was excellent, and then Jay Norvell, I think, is a great coach. But obviously they let go of him for the Wyoming game, and I don't know, it's always tough, I think. It'll be tough for CSU to go into a new conference with a new coach the next year. You're going to be starting completely over, especially with the NIL. I mean, everybody who's anybody will probably leave CSU, So it's going to be a tough road for them. And as a Wyoming fan at heart, it doesn't necessarily make me upset that they're leaving the Mountain West in the state they are.
And of course, final year of the Mountain West as it's constituted. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds. Cody, if you're listening, we just got text by Cody. We'll get you in. We'll get those picks sent off to you because we're only on air for about another 19 minutes. So, but of course, with football wrapping up, At the collegiate level, of course, it's already in full bore. We've already seen a lot of college basketball, and conversely, the Wyoming Cowboys looking really good. Blew one game on the road, and I use that term properly because the coaching staff even said when you shoot like 20% from the free throw line, you're in trouble. But have looked really good. Granted, Wyoming, hard to get quality opponents into Laradice, especially though the winter so far, or the winter season, not officially winter yet, but has been mild, extremely mild comparatively. Hard to get people willing to schedule it when they know, hey, there's a chance we could get stuck here. Nobody huge on the road yet, but still looking good, playing a very fun and exciting form of basketball. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, we saw a statement game. I think it was yesterday or the day before with Michigan and Gonzaga, where Michigan just, oh my. I mean, just beat the tarnation out of Gonzaga. Looked like they should be, and they may be in the next poll, the number one team in the country. I mean, that wasn't even a game. I mean, there is like Globetrotters versus Generals back then. We say all that to say basketball season's just around the corner for us. So your broadcast teams this year, we're finalizing the Lander one. It will be Ernie over. It will be Cody and Gordon again this year with Wyoming Indian. Then it will be myself and potentially a whole slew of different people playing cameraman, but my wife will help out. Connor's working at Subway now, so that he's out of the equation. But we've got some other people coming in, and then Kevin Gerber has retired from broadcasting. His kids graduated, everything like that. So he is going to be moving on as he's been expanding his business. And it is going to be Josh Living Good. There's only one G in it. And he reached out to me last night. We had told him we'd talk at the end of football season. And I was like, well, you're going to need a hotel for that. We're going to work together at the Flaming Gorge, whatnot, because we're both going to be there. He sent me his hotel reservation. We're in the same hotel, so that'll be convenient.
Bless you.
I muted that so the people wouldn't know.
I wanted to make sure they did. No,
so we'll go over a little bit about what we've got, at least in December here. Of course, the Stranigan Memorial Tournament. And they're called tournaments for those of you who've just moved here. So if they're not really tournaments, there's not a champion of it. It's not a bracket. It's more of an invitational. But the Stranigan is canceled this year for a variety of reasons. Most notably, only like three teams, not including Riverton, had committed, and then Kelly Walsh backed out because the new company, and they don't pay us to advertise, so we're not going to say their name. But the new company in Casper, it's a for-profit company, started a tournament or an invitational that'll be using their new facility, as well as it looks like most of the games are actually going to, if not all of them, are going to be at the Casper Event Center. So that's kind of exciting. As Coach Bosner of the Riverton Lady Wolverines told me the other day at the the Veterans Day Parade, that none of his girls, they've never made state. They've been getting better each year, but it could be a chance for them to play there. As broadcasters, we love the location because there's plenty of power, plenty of air. It's the easiest place in the world to broadcast a game from. So that is where Riverton Wolverines and Lady Wolverines will open up on the 11th. They'll be down there at the Casper Compete the 11th through the 13th. Don't have a schedule for that that's been finalized yet, but we will be there. I'm guessing 4 games for each. The girls and the boys, I'm guessing they'll play twice on one night or one day. So we'll be live from Casper. Of course, Lander has their own invitational at the same time, so Ernie and his team will be bringing you that game. Of course, those games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Wyoming Indian, Cody and Gordon will be in I don't want to speak for him. I do believe he's following the boys, though, in Glen Rock. But the boys and girls are two different locations in Glen Rock and Wright, and that is on Friday and Saturday. Then the following week on the 18th, 19th, and 20th is the Flaming Gorge. Huge invitational that Riverton used to go to every other year, now goes to every year. A great event put on, and it takes an army to do it. Games are played at Rock Springs, the middle school there, Green River, the middle school there. 4 principals, 4 different activities directors, 2 superintendents, and I will give credit where credit is due. They all put on, they all bust their tail, and they put on what I consider one of, if not the best invitational that we travel to that's put on. You can tell they really care, and they really use it as a chance to show off that Rock Springs and Green River area.
Yeah, I haven't been there in several years to that tournament, but there's always a lot of local support for both those tournaments, and it's cool because it's at Rock Springs and Green River. Obviously, you got multiple gyms. There's several teams coming from all over the state and out of state. Correct? And so,
yeah.
I mean, it's a huge tournament, and I mean, who doesn't love it?
I think it's Bear Lake. I think I've got that right. Like, there's teams from Idaho, I think Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming. Bear Lake was a big game. We've played them a couple times there, if I've got it right. I'm not looking at that right now. But the big deal about it, like 2-3 years ago, I want to say now, well, this season will be 2 removed, so 3 years ago, 3 seasons ago, was the old assistant activities director at Riverton and moved to Bear Lake to be the activities director. So they got to play against a former teammate. They're all friends with him. And I'll tell you this much, boy, if that team with Derek DeVries, Parker Paxton had that kid too, because the only thing they were really missing off that team, one was staying healthy, but number 2 was some height. Mm-hmm. And that kid was like 6'4", 6'5". It was dominant. He played with him the whole life, so the team chemistry, you could even tell, like when they're defending him, they knew where he's going, he knew where they're going, kind of thing. So it was fun. But that'll start on Thursday, Friday. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Wyoming Indian will be at the Bighorn Tongue River events. And Lander will be splitting up as well that week on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. As some will be in Lander, girls or boys. I think it's girls this year, but don't quote me on that. Will be in Lander, boys in Douglas. So a lot of split up. And then, of course, we take a little bit of a break after the 20th, about 16 days. And then we head in the regular season. And boy, the opener of the season is a doozy, of course. It'll be Wyoming Indian traveling up to Montana to face Lodge Grass.
Yeah, that game, when I was there 2 years ago, it was at the Metro there in Billings, kind of like the event center in Billings. I mean, that was a crazy game. There was probably 4,000 people there. One of the best high school basketball games I'd ever been to, and I can't remember if they played last year at Lodge Grass. I think they traveled down here. But I know in that game 2 years ago, Lodge Grass definitely had the upper hand against Wyoming Indian. But Wyoming Indian obviously comes in the year with, they have a ton of seniors. I think like 16 seniors, which is crazy.
They have so many seniors they can't legally dress them all.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so that game will be should be fantastic.
Of course, as we look forward to it, then Thermopolis will open up their regular season 3 days later. They will be at Cody, it looks like. Actually, no, that's going to be a tournament. No, it looks like it is regular season. And, of course, Lander will then open up with, not sure. We know I think they're at an invitational. Of course, Riverton won't start their regular season until later in January. They don't have a home game till like late January.
Really? Wow.
But they'll be at, I'm not sure what it's going to be called this year yet. It was like the James Johnson last year, or the last 2. Then, of course, the event formerly known as the Taco John's Classic down in Cheyenne, which of the 4 years I've called Riverton basketball, we've made it on time, like by schedule. once. That was last year because of weather. Getting to Cheyenne in January, hey, what could go wrong, right?
Right.
During that that should have been our key that bad winter was going to be a bad winter. But the year before that, my first year, we wound up leaving at like 4 a.m. in the morning and playing at 9. So you don't know how that weighs on a team. We played real well. We had to play twice, Riverton did, and they played later in the afternoon. They won. Luckily, it was South, too, so got a little bit of a break, especially on the girls' side. But had to open up with, I think it was Sheridan that year. After traveling for like 4.5 hours, 5 hours, walking in and just playing a game. And the team kind of looked like, I don't think there's anything Coach Sheets or at the time Coach McIntosh could have done for the girls, or Coach Sheets for the boys, obviously. The team was just beat. I mean, they looked like they'd been crammed into a bus for 5 hours, you know, and it was just one of those things. So December full of invitationals, which means, unfortunately, with no Stranigan, it means on the road for a lot of us in hotels and whatnot. Casper, not too bad. So, and we're going to skip fantasy just because, my team.
Yeah, Josh Allen isn't helping you very much.
At this point, no, and I'm trying. Our trade deadline's coming up. I guess we are going to talk about fantasy. Our trade line's coming up, and in a keeper league, Josh Allen's 7/8 of my salary for next year. So don't hate on me, Wyoming fans. I have put him on the block, and I'm willing to take not a whole lot for him. A 3rd, 4th round pick. I'd like to get a 1st or 2nd, but I don't know this late in the season. I'm trying to find somebody who's a playoff team, but they're missing a quarterback, which is rare that you have that, and to go with Drake May for next year, because, you know, my tight end, I think, has scored like 8 points on the season. I've always got a guy who's on a 2 tight end team. It's my own fault, but it's just been a bad year.
That'll happen, you know.
Yeah, it will. And of course, now the big thing this weekend. It seems weird we're talking about this weekend after being off yesterday. It's college football rivalry week. It's one of the best weeks of college football. Really, the only 2 classic rivalries you don't have is Harvard-Yale, who played last week, one of the granddaddies of them all, and Yale, at least while I was watching it, handled them. And then, of course, and I like the fact that they wait another. It's kind of weird they wait another 2 weeks, but is the biggest one, the one that has some of the most I don't know what I'm looking for the word here, but most just festive atmosphere. Army Navy coming up. Just the passion and the pomp and circumstance, pun intended, of it all is. But everybody else is this week. Of course, you go from huge games, and none of the ones which we're picking, like Texas A&M was so much on the line. The Iron Bowl, Alabama, a lot on the line. Auburn, not so much. To a game that if you told me 20, 30 years ago would be nothing as far as having any real implication whatsoever outside of, I think, FSU can get to a bowl if they win, is the Florida Gators and Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah.
And somehow the coach at FSU still has a job. I think he had one of the hottest seats coming into the year, and yet he's watched so many go, and he's still alive. So you've got that. Of course, you got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I do believe that's tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And, of course, that's got weird implications because if Ole Miss wins, they're a playoff caliber team, 1 loss just to Georgia. And but people talking about how if they don't have their head coach, they might not make it in, which I think is kind of crap, but nonetheless. But also the Lane Kiffin drama. Is he going to go to Florida, where he seems to fit in personality-wise? Is he going to stay at Ole Miss, where he said, hey, I grew up here, I'm going to stay here? Or is he going to go to LSU, which is offering basically Brinks trucks of cash even compared to Florida, supposedly? I don't know with that whole governor getting involved and stuff like that, if I'd touch LSU with a 10-foot pole, but that's all his decision.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting in college for a coach to be considering a cross-conference move also. I don't think that's very common. I mean, maybe in the SEC, I've been a Wyoming fan my whole life. We've had like 2 coaches my whole life.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because you mentioned Norvell from Colorado State coming from Nevada.
That's true. I guess that's true, yeah.
But, yeah, it's only happened a handful of times. The weird part is the only other time I can recall, well, Dan Mullen left Mississippi State for Florida. Florida, for those here who don't know, the high school town in Florida rivals or even beats, depending on the year, Texas and California. Florida is high school mecca. So the recruiting's top notch. They've got a huge fan base. They've got more money than Ole Miss. But the funny part is this would be the second time it happened to Ole Miss because Tommy Tuberville left Ole Miss and went to Auburn. That was a little more interesting because literally the night before Baylor, Tommy Tuberville was at an Ole Miss press conference and said, the only way I'm leaving here is in a pine box. So implying he'd have to die. The next morning at Auburn, he was on a press conference. And now, and you go, well, that's lying. Well, he's a congressman now, folks, so do with that what you will.
That's true.
The pick'ems, it's how you finish, I guess, not how you start. Of course, we'll be going into keeping going with NFL, and then we'll eventually roll in basketball. We'll just keep pick'ems going, making an annual thing. But right now, Cody sits at 46-20, Baylor at 42-24, both going 5-0 last week, and I'm sitting at 41-25. So
you must have had a rough week last week.
2-3 back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
I really thought that Cincinnati at home would show more than they did.
Yeah. They struggled.
BYU played a good game, and Cincinnati played awful. So, but nonetheless, we're going to start off with, as they call it, the big game. At least they call it that, not in the South. You'll have the argument, and no one's ever going to win it, between whether this game and the Iron Bowl are the biggest rivals. I will say this game, at least you have a border to protect you. Auburn, Alabama, there was somebody who was shot and killed, folks, when I lived in Alabama, because Alabama lost to Auburn. And it was an Alabama fan killing an Alabama fan because the victim was not upset enough off the loss. That was the motive given. That was what the person said, why they shot him, was because they weren't upset enough. Mind you, I didn't say they weren't upset, just not enough.
Just not enough.
So we're going to start off with the big game, and Cody will send these to you.
I actually have his picks here, so I can.
Okay, he's got his picks. So let's start with Cody, since we can't influence whatsoever, but it might influence us. It is Ohio State and Michigan. Ton of stuff on the line. Michigan trying to play their way into a playoff game and that large bid, which right now looks pretty good. Ohio State trying to prove something. The only ranked team they faced, the currently ranked team they face all year is Texas. At home, they beat them by 7. So as Dan Orlovsky said, maybe perhaps the most untested number 1 we've had in quite some time. They've got Michigan now, then they'll get a week off, and then they'll get Indiana mostly, so they will be tested. But the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, who's Cody got?
He's got Ohio State in this one.
Who you got, baby?
I also am going to go Ohio State.
Tap Michigan. Coach Brown trying to show that they're for real. Michigan's had their number as of lately, because last year Ohio State wins the national championship, yet they still have to listen to the Wolverines say we beat you at the shoe.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Wolverines. I'm going to go University of Michigan. Next up, conversely to Florida State, Florida, a rivalry 20, 30 years ago, I'd be like, one team dominated it. But the chance to really finish off a great season, potentially, depending on how things play out, even maybe get a playoff berth, which would be unforeseen by everybody. It's Vanderbilt going to Neyland Stadium and facing the Volunteers of Tennessee.
Yeah, my dad has Tennessee. I think we saw Vandy struggle on the road against Bama, I believe, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Bama and Tennessee.
There is, yes. There is, yes. This rivalry, I don't know. But I think I'm going to take Tennessee, I think.
This is one of those I'd like to see Vandy win. Georgia fans hate orange. But I think it's close enough. I think Vanderbilt is a slightly better team, but Tennessee wants this one. It's important to them. 106,000 people.
Yeah.
I've got to go with the Vols as well on that one, just because they're at home. A big game, and for those who are going, well, Tennessee's had a great year. It's a big game for Josh Heupel. Hot seats come with this. There are teams, especially in the South, and for a lot of the Big Ten, like Michigan, Ohio State, that you have to win. It doesn't matter if you're 0-10. That game can be the one that kicks you over. For Georgia, it's Georgia Tech. It's not a we'd like to win it. Oh, it's great to win it. No, losing is worse than winning some of these games.
Yep.
So if you lose it, it's way worse than it is good if you win it. So next up, we have an old Western classic. Growing up on the East Coast, whenever I watch that game, the sun just looks different in that game. And I would have gone with Arizona State, just because I think it'll be a better game. But I like how UCLA and USC both wear their home uniforms, the blue and the gold and the red and the gold. It's really red and yellow.
It's pretty iconic. You know?
Yeah, it's iconic, and they've had some great games. Of course, UCLA going to USC. I kind of wish it was at the Rose Bowl since they're leaving the Rose Bowl and going to SoFi. But UCLA at USC.
You're going.
I'm going USC. I already wrote it down.
Yeah.
I just don't think UCLA has what it takes. Rick Neuheisel's son be danged.
Yeah, no, I think UFC rolls UCLA in this game. And then also my dad has USC as well.
All right. Move on to there's a lot of mismatches in the pros this week, mainly because we didn't pick yesterday's. Of course, for all the folks who love Denver, yesterday was yet another nail in the coffin that is KC, because I was on the phone with Buddy. I was like, it's kind of like watching a soap opera where you can watch the last 5 minutes, or an NBA game where you can watch the last 5 minutes and know everything that's happening. I was like, that's going to happen because Dallas is going to somehow be leading this whole way. Of course, y'all know how I feel about Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. And then Mahomes is going to pull Mahomes. Didn't happen. So now sitting at 500 is Kansas City Chiefs, just falling apart. And
well, that's the difference from last year. I think they were like 12-0 in one-score games. This year they're like 1-7, or not 1-7, 1-5 or something like that in one-score games. So
big win, of course, yesterday for them, and kind of a perplexing 2 other games where Detroit loses the Packers, probably the best game of the day as far as teams go. But Detroit, once again, can't forget reminding people they're Detroit of old, too, sometimes. And, of course, then Cincinnati just beating the bejesus out of Baltimore. We talked about them being the best team talent-wise, and they're below 500.
I think they were a Super Bowl favorite.
And
now they're below
They
500.
and just got beat by a 3-8 Cincinnati team.
That division's interesting because Cincinnati could go on a run and win the division, even though they were down 3-8.
So next we got Minnesota at Seattle. Really the only game between two teams that have looked pretty well. I'll pick it first, I guess. As much as I like what Minnesota's been able to do, Darnold at home is just another beast. So I'm going Sam Darnold and the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle too. J.J. McCarthy just is too much of a rookie still, I think. My dad is going Seattle as well.
And finally, back to the Monday night game. The only we avoid is when we have fan involved. So when Denver plays on Monday night, we won't pick that game either. We've got the New York Giants, or a new look New York Giants to some extent, traveling just up the road to, well, the people who will say Boston, but Gillette, to face the New England Patriots and Drake May.
Yeah, New York Giants have surprised some people. They've lost a few close games, which they shouldn't have been close in. They do have Jackson Dart back this game, but I just think I'm going to go New England. I think Drake May and the offense there, it's just too good, and it's a division game at home, so it probably will be close. But I think New England pulls it out. My dad's going New England as well.
Well, Drake May's my fantasy quarterback of the future now, so as well. So I'm picking New England. Of course, we'll throw in a couple bonus picks. Don't count in our overall picks, but Auburn, Alabama. Who you got?
Bama. Is that Where's that one at?
It's at Auburn
At
at
Auburn.
night,
Ooh.
and 3 of the last 4 Auburn's won. Of course, what my daughter Katie believes is the greatest play in college football history. She can quote the Auburn guys calling it, where Auburn's going to win the football game on the kick 6 return.
Yeah.
People forget that happened 2 weeks after they hit a Hail Mary against Georgia. So 2 huge plays at the end of a game. I'm going to go Bama as well. And then I'm trying to think. Texas A&M.
Ooh, that one's a good one. I'll pick Texas A&M just because their run's been fun.
I'm going with Texas just because it's in Austin, not because it would get Georgia in the SEC title game, because you can make the argument we'd be better off not playing in it. Extra week off and just being a one-loss team. But I think it's important for Texas to get this one. It's at home. The hype around Arch Manning, which wouldn't exist if his name was Arch Smith. I think it's important. And A&M, much like Ohio State, played Notre Dame in the SEC conference schedule. They've avoided Ole Miss. They've avoided Georgia. I shouldn't say avoided, because they have nothing to do with the conference schedule. But they didn't get Bama. They didn't get Georgia. They didn't get Ole Miss. They avoided kind of the top tier teams this year. So it'll be interesting to see. But boy, have they done a good job. And it'll be a fun matchup to go. So, well, guys, enjoy your Black Friday. Get out there, shop local. And also, as a reminder, we are out at Murdoch's at 10 a.m. They have a big Black Friday sale, and we are going to be broadcasting live remotely from there from 10 to noon today. So get on out there. It's also part of our Stuff the Bus. Stuff the Bus, for those unfamiliar, is for underprivileged kids here in Fremont County. We're collecting new unwrapped toys. I'll say that again. They have to be new and they have to be unwrapped. That way we make sure all the parts and pieces and whatnot. Any age 0 to 17, we try and take care of all the minors here. And you can drop them off at Menards today. You can also bring them by our office, too, here at 421 East Main. For Baylor Beers, this has been Kevin Shields. Cody, we hope you enjoy Hawaii and bring back a victory for the Pokes. We'll see you next Friday here on WyoToday Sports Live on 101.7 KDNO.